You know what's great about Tudor houses? Aside from the wood paneling, questionable sanitation, and occasional ghost stories, the secrets. Real ones, literal hidden rooms built into the architecture. Not for style, not for drama, but actually for survival. Today, we are going to dig into the hidden rooms and secret spaces tucked away inside Tudor homes. Not metaphorically, we're talking about actual trapdoors, concealed staircases, false walls, and priest holes. The kinds of places that were used when someone needed to disappear fast. And the reasons why these rooms existed? It actually wasn't just about hiding from angry monarchs, though, of course, let's be honest, in Tudor England, that was a perfectly reasonable fear. Let's dig in. Hey friend, welcome back to the YouTube channel for the Renaissance English History Podcast. I am your host, Heather. I've been podcasting on Tudor England since 2009, which makes my show the original Tudor History Podcast. Today, we are talking about the secrets hidden in Tudor homes, looking specifically at some of these priest hides. So let's dig in. So what led to these secret rooms? Well, let's start with the big one, religion. After Henry broke with Rome, England went through 5 decades of religious whiplash, depending who was on the throne. Being the wrong kind of Christian could get you fined, imprisoned, or executed. Under Elizabeth I, Catholicism was officially outlawed, and harboring a Catholic priest could lead to a death sentence for treason. So Catholic families with money and land often built secret compartments into their homes, places where a priest could hide if the Queen's agents showed up for a surprise inspection. These weren't slapdash hidey holes either. They were often expertly built, hidden under staircases, inside thick chimney breasts, behind fake panels in the walls. Some of them were so well concealed that even today, with modern technology, we're still finding them. It wasn't just about religion. Some secret spaces were designed to protect valuables, coin, plate, documents, in times of political upheaval or when the household had to leave quickly. Others were built into castles and manor houses as emergency escape routes, particularly if a rebellion broke out or there was a legitimate fear of being besieged. In a world where the monarch could go from loving you to executing you in the space of a month, a discreet exit was more than a luxury. It was actually considered insurance. One of the most famous craftsmen behind these spaces was Nicholas Owen, a Jesuit lay brother who spent years traveling from house to house in England, designing and constructing priest holes. He worked entirely in secret, often by himself, and rarely shared the full plans with the families that he was helping, so that if they were tortured, they couldn't give up their locations. Owen's work was ingenious. He designed double-layered hiding spots, one obvious priest hole as a decoy and a second, better concealed one hidden behind it. Some of the entrances were so discreet that they blended into the wainscoting or the floorboards. At Harvington Hall in Worcestershire, there are at least 7 known priest holes, and some historians think that there are more that haven't been found yet. Owen was eventually arrested in 1606 and died under torture in the Tower of London. But his work quite literally saved lives, and many of the hiding places that he built remain intact today. So can you visit these priest hides? Well, yes, with many of them you still can. Let's start, of course, with Harvington Hall that we just talked about, one of the best preserved examples of a Tudor manor that was built to hide things and people. Tucked away in Worcestershire, it doesn't look particularly grand from the outside, but inside it's full of tricks, secret staircases, false walls, and at least, like we said, 7 priest holes, all designed to outwit Elizabethan search. One of the hiding places is tucked behind the main staircase. Another is cleverly concealed within the thickness of a chimney. And in one particularly unsettling corner, there's a vertical shaft designed to allow someone to drop down into a space hidden between floors with just enough room to crouch and wait in silence. Walking through the house today, the proportions feel a little bit off. A hallway that's a little bit narrower than it should be, or a panel that sits just a little higher than the others. And that's the point. The design plays with space and symmetry to throw people off. In the 16th century, that kind of misdirection could be the difference between life and death. Then there's Baddesley Clinton in Warwickshire. If you want a spot where history feels layered into every creaky floorboard, this is it. The house was owned by the Ferrers family, devout Catholics, who used it as a safe house for priests during the Elizabethan persecution. One of the priest holes is accessed through a shaft in the garderobe, which, for the record, is the Tudor toilet. It's cramped, it's dark, and yes, the smell was apparently part of the hiding strategy. No one wanted to be poking around in the loo longer than necessary. Oxburgh Hall in Norfolk is another standout. There, the priest hole is hidden beneath a trapdoor in the floor of the garderobe in the family chapel. It's surprisingly small, just enough room for one person to crouch in total darkness. But it did the job. It was the difference between being arrested and disappearing. So who was using these secret rooms? Well, the most obvious answer is Catholic priests, especially Jesuits, who traveled secretly from house to house, ministering to the recusant families. But they weren't the only ones. Family members sometimes had to hide alongside them. Servants, messengers, anyone who could be considered part of the crime of being Catholic and practicing the Catholic Mass. And not every secret room was actually religious in purpose. Some, like we said, were used to hide letters, money, records, especially during periods of rebellion or taxation. During the Pilgrimage of Grace and other uprisings, households who were sympathetic to the rebels sometimes used their own walls as storage lockers for contraband. One story, possibly apocryphal but too good to skip over. A young noblewoman hid from an arranged marriage inside a concealed closet in her family's home. She stayed there just long enough to miss the wedding and claim that she had been abducted by fairies. Bold move. The fascinating thing is that new hiding places are still being found. In some cases, they're uncovered during renovations, when a panel comes loose, or a new owner gets curious about why the room's measurements don't exactly add up. In others, modern tech like thermal imaging or laser scans reveal voids behind walls or under floors that don't correspond to any known part of the house. We're talking about architecture that has quite literally kept its secrets for centuries. And there's a solid chance that there are many more out there, quietly waiting under floorboards, inside chimneys, behind false walls. In fact, if you've ever been to an old Tudor house and it felt like the hallway seemed oddly short, or a window didn't quite line up, there may have been something or someone hiding there once. So the next time you step into a historic house and admire the wood paneling or the cozy nooks, remember, some of those nooks weren't designed for comfort. They were actually made for survival, for secrecy, for people who were trying to not die for their faith or their politics, and who trusted that the walls themselves actually could keep a secret. And if you've ever been to a historic Tudor site with a hidden room, I want to hear about it in the comments. What's the creepiest or cleverest hiding place you've ever seen? I would love to know. Leave a comment and let me know. All right, friend, if you made it this far in the video and you enjoyed it, I sure would appreciate a press of that like button. You know what it does. It helps to feed that algorithm and get our content out to more people. And I hope I earned your subscription to my channel where I put out content like this on the regular. If you want to dig deeper into the life of Nicholas Owen, check out this video I did on him a couple of years ago, or here's a video that YouTube thinks you'll like. Remember, you are deeply loved. I'm so glad I shared the planet with you. You make the planet a better place, and I'm glad we are here together. Thanks so much for being here and spending this time with me. I will be back very soon. In the meantime, have an amazing day, and don't forget to drink your water.